basically everything below it's going to stop working. So pistol one is more for the person that maybe they just got their gun or they have only shot it a few times and they really need to build that good groundwork to become a more proficient shooter. So you're going to need a good foundation, which is the fundamentals. Without good foundation of good fundamentals, you're not really going to be able to grow, because the foundation is what you need to build on top of that. So you need to get those good fundamentals and good habits. That way you can build on that from there. So the 4 main safety rules are going to be: treat every weapon as if it's loaded, never point a weapon at anything you don't intend to shoot, kill, or destroy, keep your finger straight off the trigger until you're ready to fire, keep your weapon on safe until you intend to fire. The 2 that I like to add on is 1, know your target, what's beyond it and what's before it. And also, if a gun is falling for whatever reason, whether it's out of your hand, out of a holster, it comes off a sling, let it fall to the ground. Never try to catch it midair, because you're no longer in control of where that gun is pointed. And so you have no discrepancy of where that round could possibly go if you happen to grab it and pull that trigger, okay? These safety rules are very important, obviously, so that we all stay safe. But the most important one is never point a weapon at anything you don't intend to shoot, kill, or destroy, because you can neglect other ones and it's bad, but it's not as bad as if you neglect that one, okay? So most of these safety rules have a little bit of redundancy, meaning more than one has to be broken for something very tragically bad to happen. That doesn't mean you neglect them all. It means that you need to pay attention to all of them at all times. All right, so in regards to some gear or equipment that, I mean, there's millions of companies and stuff out there that are making things. In regards to, if you just got into shooting and you want to go out to the range and, you know, have good enough gear to get by, so you're not having to work around your gear, you're able to just go and get good training. Obviously, the first thing you're going to need is a firearm of some type with magazines. After that, you're going to need a holster, a belt, and magazine pouches, okay? I'm a firm believer in some sort of retention-based holster, meaning Safariland or Alien Gear or something similar, where the gun will not come out unless you activate some button or release a hood. It's good for multiple things. One, your gun's not just going to fall out of your holster. If you're running around, getting in and out of a car, whatever the case may be, you actually have to actively depress something to get that gun out of the holster to then use it. So it's just adding, again, redundancy onto safety of your gun is not going to leave that holster unless you actually want it to come out, okay? So I personally run Safarilands for a long time, and I've never had any real issues with them. But again, having a holster, whatever brand that has retention built into it is in my opinion, very important. Not necessary, but it has a lot of advantages. In regards to magazine pouches, I've used a whole bunch of different kinds. They all really do the same thing. The biggest thing is that you have them and they work for whatever magazine you have. A lot of the Kydex ones are built specifically for a type of magazine. So make sure you have the right one, because you don't want your magazines to be flying out or not be able to pull them out of the pouch. So as long as you get a magazine pouch for the magazine you actually are going to use, from a reputable company, okay? Meaning not some airsoft brand or some knockoff, brand from Alibaba or something. Make sure it's a quality brand that's, ideally made in America, because why not? But also like a reputable company that makes gear for end users, not to make a profit, if that makes sense. So I've run S-Tacs. I like those a lot. They're lightweight. Their attachment system's really nice. Any kind of like Kydex molded ones are nice. The downfall with Kydex ones is the retention starts to loosen up over time, so you have to constantly be paying attention to that. Not that it's a bad thing, it's just one of those things that on your gear checks you got to pay attention that it's actually gonna stay in the pouch. In regards to belts, there's again tons of belts out there. I personally run a Snake Eater belt, and I've been running it for 6 years or so. It's the same belt. It's never had any issues. It's good. There's Faro Concepts. You name it, they're going to make belts. Really, what you want is a good belt that will hold all the equipment that you need. Okay. Again, just like anything else, not a knockoff, not a cheap airsoft brand. You want a reputable company making a belt, because it is what holds all of your equipment. And the last thing you want is your belt to fall apart or your buckle to not stay buckled. Snake Eater Tactical, Faro Concepts, those are two of my favorite brands in regards to belts. But again, there's a lot of other companies out there that make great products. Other gear and equipment is going to be IFAK or some sort of medical pouch. That's very important to me because if you don't have it, then there's nothing to say that somebody else isn't going to have it, and then nobody has it, right? So you should always have your own personal medical kit, and you should know how to use everything in that medical kit. A lot of people, buy the medical kit and they think it's all cool because they put it on their belt, but they don't know how to use anything in there. So go get good training. We have plenty of classes for medical stuff on the Patreon, so you can go get learned on all that stuff. But again, having an IFAK on your belt or on your person in some regard, and knowing how to use every item in that IFAK, okay? Not just saying, oh yeah, I put it on there because I bought it from so-and-so website and it says it's a good one, but I don't know what these two things are. So they're just in there taking up space, okay? Medical training is often overlooked, but it's very important when you do need it. So don't neglect that. Get some good training. We have plenty of good stuff on the Patreon for that. So go over there, check that out, and get learned on that. IFAKs in general, I'm running a Faro Concepts Roll 1 just on my belt here. It velcros on the belt. It stays attached. It holds everything I need. Just like everything else, there's plenty of other IFAK companies. Find one that suits you and your needs, and that is a reputable company. What's more important than the IFAK itself is the contents inside and your knowledge of how to use those. So make sure you're getting that information and knowing that if I pull this IFAK out, I know how to use everything in the situation that I'm in. Some other items when we're talking about belt is dump pouches and rifle mag pouches. Again, S-Tac, some sort of Kydex for a mag pouch for your rifle is going to be ideal. Dump pouches, again, this is a snake eater pouch. I run this one because it frees up belt space because it runs in line with my magazine pouch. That way I don't have a bunch of stuff all the way around my belt. It kind of saves me some real estate. In regards to belts, that's about it, right? You got your holster, you got your IFAK, you got your mag pouches, you got a dump pouch. Realistically, that's all you're going to need on your belt. There's a lot of things you can put on your belt, but that's more or less the bare minimums. Some other items in regards to if you're going to the range and shooting is obviously ear protection and eye protection. Ear and eye protection is something that a lot of people take for granted, but having good glass in your eye protection is very important, not only to protect your eyes, but to be able to see well. You go buy those, gas station sunglasses, the quality of the lens is not going to be that great, so you're just degrading everything behind or in front of your eye, meaning, if you're running good glass and you're looking at a far away thing or something far away or something small and you have shitty gas station sunglasses, you're not going to be able to see that as clear as if you have good quality sunglasses. Also make sure that they're rated for impact, okay? A lot of sunglasses are not, and the last thing you'd want is whatever shrapnel or whatever is coming at your eye hitting your sunglasses, and not only that is coming into your eye, but also the plastic or the glass or whatever is the lens also coming into your eye as well. So make sure they're actually rated. I don't remember the number for the rating, but make sure they're actually impact rated. That way you're not gonna, get the shrapnel and the plastic from the lens, okay? When it comes to ear protection, there's really two main ones. There's in-ear and over-the-ear. In-ear is very good, especially, I run in-ear a lot because I'm on the range all day and I got big-ass ears. So over-the-ear tends to give me headaches and pressure in my ear and it's uncomfortable. So I wear in-ear. The downfall with in-ear is there's two types of hearing loss. There's bone and hair. In-ear doesn't protect as well against the bone hearing loss, so that concussion can still damage your hearing slightly, okay? When it comes to like electronic or non-electronic, really that's more or less personal preference. There's nothing that says one is better at protecting your hearing than the other. It's just one helps you hear everybody else better than the other, right? So if you got electronic hearing protection, you're able to hear other people without them having to scream at you, which is beneficial in a lot of regards, because if something is happening and you don't know it because you can't hear it, having that electronic hearing protection to be able to hear them speaking, saying whatever they're saying, there's an issue, there's a problem, cease fire, that can be a huge benefit add. When it comes to like if you're running comms, then obviously you're going to need some sort of communication, a boom mic and stuff like that. That's covered on a whole nother Patreon So you can get all that information as far as comms and connections and what will and won't work with that. But just in regards to protecting your ears, over the ear is going to be better overall. In ear is going to be more comfortable, but there is that little downfall that the bone hearing loss can be damaged slightly with that. It's something that I almost always neglect when I go to the range. As far as like equipment and stuff you should bring is sunscreen. I am notorious for showing up to the range on a bright summer day with no clouds and I don't have any sunscreen. And about noon, I realize I'm burnt and I have to ask somebody for it. So definitely something to keep in your range bag, in your truck, and whatever you're bringing to the range, have sunscreen, because while everybody jokes about getting sunburned, like it can seriously mess you up if you get a really bad sunburn. So keeping that sunscreen on hand is very important, especially if you're gonna be out on the range all day and it's hot, the sun's out, you're not paying attention because you're having fun with your friends and learning. Next thing you know, you go home and your neck's completely burnt, your ears are burnt, you got a nasty farmer's tan, and you just are going to be beat up. So make sure you're keeping that sunscreen, whether it's in a range bag, in your vehicle, just keep it on hand. That way you have it. Whether you use it or not, that's on you, but at least having it gives you that option to be able to use it. Yeah, so what kind of targets you should be using? Really, it's all personal preference. When it comes to paper targets, any paper targets are going to do the same thing. They're going to have holes in them from the bullets that are going through them, right? So getting paper targets or cardboard targets, the difference is the amount of work that needs to get put into it. Cardboard targets are a lot easier because you just put the cardboard up, staple it on, and you're more or less done, because it has, you know, the corrugation in it for the A zones and the head box and stuff like that. So it's more simple, but it's not as realistic. There's not anything extra. It's just a piece of cardboard, right? So if you are doing any kind of training in regards to like really good shot placement or anything like that, getting a good target that has like some sort of anatomical features, meaning like heart, lungs, guts, brain, actual eye holes and skull area, can be beneficial, because you can actually see that your hits are doing what they're supposed to be doing to those vital organs inside the body. So having some sort of targets, we provide them on the Core Vision website, where you have, you know, anatomical features, meaning heart, lungs, brain, stuff like that. That way your training can have a little bit more value in regards to how to effectively eliminate a human being versus just shooting a piece of cardboard that has none of that. So really, when it comes out of targets, just bring something. Don't be the guy that's out there shooting barrels and shooting beer cans in the middle of the desert, because that really just degrades the 2A community and just makes a mess for everybody else. So bring good targets, have target stands, whether you make them out of 2x4s, you buy the little steel ones, have the sticks. All you need is that, staplers, and then you're ready to go. When it comes to steel is really fun. Everybody likes to shoot steel. It's more expensive, it's heavier, it's a little bit more cumbersome in regards to like packing it and loading it in and out of vehicles and stuff like that. But getting good quality steel is really important, because getting frag is a real thing. So if you buy that cheap steel and you're shooting it maybe a little closer than you should, you're going to be catching that frag, and that's a bad day for everybody, especially if you're shooting with friends or there's people that aren't shooting and they're catching it. So getting good quality steel that's actual hardened steel, so it's not, you know, divoting and kicking back at you, is really important. Steel is always cool and fun, but if you're trying to work on getting better as a shooter, paper is always going to be better, because it can show you your hits more defined. So you always want to use paper when you're working accuracy specifically, right? Steel is always fun because everybody likes to hear that immediate feedback that they hit something, but a hit like on the very edge and a hit in the center are going to sound and be the same feedback, right? But it's not the same as far as accuracy goes. So steel is always good to shoot and look cool and have fun, but paper is always going to tell you what you're doing wrong. So I like shooting steel, but I love shooting paper because it helps me become a better shooter much faster, and I can be more deliberate in my training with paper.